AWS Career Series. I'm sure you guys have been stoked. I'm sure you guys are excited for today. I don't even know. Can you guys remember the last series we had? The one about the interviews. We've had one about personal branding. And today we are going to talk about breaking into the cloud, right? We're going to talk about how you can build your portfolio, how you can basically prepare yourself, set yourself up as you are doing your sport projects, as you are doing your AWS projects now in the course, how you can position those things so that you can get your first job, right? So, welcome everyone once again. While we wait for more people to join, no, I'm actually loving our numbers today. We already, you guys are really doing great, and it's great that you guys are here. You guys responded to our call. You guys showed up, and we really, really, really love that. So, before we go into today's main session, let's get a bit interactive, okay? Let's do something interactive. So, I want you guys to share with me what was your biggest challenge, right? Or what is your biggest challenge in finding an AWS job, right? What has been your biggest challenge? Can you post that in the chat, right? Whether you are a newbie in the AWS space or you've been there for a while, I'd like to hear what has been your biggest challenge. What has stopped you? What do you think has been that factor that has been like, no, I can't deal. Abdul Hakim, lack of networking. I understand when you are interested in this space, but you don't know where to go, who to reach out to first, who to who to send that portfolio to, who to send what you've done to, right? I understand. Um, Knowing where to get jobs. Mm, that one too. Because people talk about, oh, just go to LinkedIn Learning, just go to Indeed. But you're like, okay, I'm there. What next? What am I supposed to do next? Right? So all these things. For me, the biggest challenge, not having enough experience in this space. Well, you're in the right place. You are here with ALX, and we will equip you with that experience you need. Right? We'll equip you with the skills. We'll show you how to set yourself up so that you won't feel like you don't have that experience anymore. I see a lot of people are talking about that experience, and don't worry, this session is there for you. We have seasoned professionals here to give you their insights, their advice, to show you that that experience that you're talking about that you don't have, you have it, and it's just for you to position yourself, right? So thank you guys so much for engaging with me. Honestly, oh, someone said no entry level jobs. Don't worry, we'll show you how to get, not even entry level, you'll be a manager. In fact, you'll be a manager. So moving on today's session, I'm not sure if you can still remember me, but I'm Namio Bechi. I'm one of your community ambassadors, and today I'm going to be hosting this session with Mona. Say hi. I'm sure you guys are already familiar with Mona.
Hi,
Hi.
everybody. Who missed me? I know I have been gone for a while. Who missed me?
So we're going to be your hosts for today, and now I'm going to take you through a bit of what we're going to be doing today. So we'll start with some ground rules. I'm sure you guys are quite familiar, but for those who are just joining one of our sessions, if you are just joining one of our sessions, this is for you. And I hope there's nobody like that. I hope you guys have been engaging, joining our live expert sessions, joining every session we've been, because every session is a banger. Every session has something for you, something that will help you in this your career path. So from the ground rules, we have a fireside chat with some of our three seasoned professionals. We have three experts here today to share their insights with you, their experience, especially in terms of this AWS career, navigating it, right? Um, from that, we'll have some portfolio reviews. So, special portfolio reviews. We'll be reviewing your portfolios live, right? So, once we're done with that, we'll have a brief discussion about the job market and the challenges that are you're likely to face there, and then we'll go into some Q&A, reflection, what looking back on everything that we learned in this session, and we will close out the session with some next steps for you. So now, without further ado, I will hand it over to Mona to take you through this session.
Hi, everybody. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I was on this street. So if you can see me, you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. How you guys doing? Let me know. How you guys doing? Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah. So today, let me meet someone here. So, well. This is okay. Someone is saying it's not been a minute. I should stop lying. It's been 3 minutes. Okay, my bad. But now, guys, this is more like the third session. We started, with that personal branding. We started with, creating our personal brands, right? Then we went on ahead to review CVs. We went on, say, if you followed us, you created your personal brand. You went on LinkedIn and did what you're supposed to do, right? Then you went and created a very nice script CV. And we also did live mock interviews. Well, now, after that, we have brought to you guys. Now, after all that, where else? Where do I start? When I need to look for that job, when I need to ace that interview, where do I start? And I hope you guys are excited. If you're excited for this session, give me fire emojis. I want fire emojis now, yeah? It's been a minute. I'm so excited to see some of you. I don't want to start mentioning names. You guys know I mention names. Isaac, I can see you. I can see Adisu. I can see, well, quite a number of you. I am so excited, yeah? Give me that fire emoji knowing that this session is about to be fire. Now, I want you guys to take a moment, just one moment to recognize that today we are, just one moment of silence to recognize that today we are in the presence of greatness. Today in this session, greatness is with us because of the speakers that we have. And guys, I can speak till cows come home, but I don't want to do that. I want us to meet our speakers. But before then, guys, one, please use the chat when you want to interact, say, comment about something, use the chat. It's here. Engage with our speakers. The chat is there. But if you have a specific question, maybe you have a specific struggle. Say when you do interviews, you struggle with, say, technical assessment, right? Please use the Q&A. Use the Q&A to put your questions there so that as we move on, our speakers can tackle that. And most importantly, be present, listen, learn, engage. All right, guys? All right. Okay. Now let's move on. So I'm about to introduce our speakers. If you have, say, a glimpse of who we have today, clap, whatever you just clap slightly. If you have a glimpse of who is with us today, just a bit of claps, yeah? Right, so let me start with our speakers today, and I am going to start with Eric. So I want Eric to introduce himself and tell us, first of all, before Eric comes. Now, I see Naomi has already shown us who our speakers are, and I want claps. I want an upload for our speakers for honoring our invite and being with us here. If you're excited about the speakers, just give me those claps. Give me those claps on the chat. I want those claps on the chat. I want those fire emojis on the chat because it's about to be fire. It's about to be lit, no? All right, let's start with say intros for our speakers. And since I had mentioned Eric, let's start with Eric. Eric, tell us who you are, how you came here, where you are in your journey, AWS journey, just something about you before we start. Eric, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. How are we doing today?
We are doing
I
fine.
know we're doing definitely good. Yeah, honestly, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here on this platform and to share my experience with you and also to learn, from you all. So my name is Eric Newzobiemfa. I am a cloud and DevOps engineer. So my journey into cloud, actually, I didn't have any background in IT. I never had any background in IT. I never did any computer science, nothing of the sort. But today, this is me. I have 5 years in cloud and DevOps experience. I've worked with a couple of companies, and currently I work with SolarVice Technologies Institute, where I am the cloud trainer and also the CIO. So basically, what we do at SolarVice Tech is we give training, we offer training and consultancy on cloud and DevOps, and data science and machine learning, and cybersecurity. So if you're here and you're wondering if cloud is for you, or maybe you are still wondering if you're going to make it in the cloud, know that I'm here to tell you you can do it without any background in IT. So I came from an agricultural background, and I never knew I was going to be here. I never knew I was going to be here. So there came a point in my life when I was searching for something. I wanted to have a sense of maybe having me contribute to a community, and when I was searching, I found that cloud was something that, I could offer myself and help other people. So when I got the call, I had to respond. So it's an honor to be on the platform, and I hope you're going to learn from me, and I'm going to learn from you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. I think we should call Eric a farmer. He came from the agriculture side of things, and now he is making it in the tech side of thing, yo. Should we call Eric a farmer? Should we say Eric the farmer and now the engineer?
Oh, a cloud farmer, right?
Oh, that's even a better one. He's a cloud farmer. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eric, the cloud farmer. Now we can move to. Now, he taught me how to pronounce his name. Ewere. Is it Ewere or Ewere? Guys, it's Ewere, right? Now let's get to Ewere. Ewere, the floor is yours.
Hello. Yes, it's Aware. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Wow. Well, my name is Aware. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. This is my 10th year as a cloud, and I don't know what to call it. Call it cloud DevOps, call it DevOps cloud, but whatever name it is, I just use cloud computing to solve business problems. Before now, I was a software developer for almost 11, 12 years. I started coding in my teenage days, and it's been an interesting journey. Part of my growth was to contribute to community. I started contributing as far back as 2015. Started a couple of groups with a friend, DevOps Nigeria, and also very actively engaged with the AWS community groups here in Lagos, Nigeria. I was made the first AWS community here in Africa. We're about 4 in Africa. We used to be 5. The first female relinquish a position for staff in AWS, Beliza Buya. And ever since then, I love to blog, I love to write about AWS, cloud computing, DevOps generally. I launched my blog earlier this year, Ewere.tech, where I share all my knowledge, my understanding, and also interesting things I found out while doing my work and while also going through the internet. When I'm not doing tech stuff, I love to travel, love to see new places and see new people, and watch documentaries.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iman. Now, guys, can we agree we have good people lined up today? No? Can you guys agree? Give me a thumbs up if you agree that we have good people lined up today. As we introduce our third guest, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, also please tell us how to pronounce their other name before I say something else. Yeah, Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. And I totally like the energy that's in here. It's very, very high energy, and I really like that. And I'm glad to be here. So my name is Emmanuel Mingo, and I'm currently an AWS community builder, and I'm also a cloud engineer, cloud security engineer. I do a bit of security alongside that with Old Mutual, Ghana. And interesting thing, so I started my journey specifically with cloud right around the same program like this. So with the academy program, but I started off with more or less a restart program. And that's where I started from, and then that brought me here. But of course, I am privileged to be from a computer background. So that also adds some bit of that. So doing some bit of software development, PHP, Python, and then all of those stuff. And then did the Restart program, got to do some trainings in there that literally started my training journey. So that's been one of the key things I've been doing for like the past 5 years anyway. And of course, doing some bit of consultancy with on different projects with different people, and then also currently more or less full time as a cloud security engineer. And I would say that it's pretty interesting, like blending all of these things, being in the community groups. And one interesting thing, when I was looking out for the folks who are here, all of us are people who are within the community. So community builders, and then we have a hero here. And I don't know if anyone was at reInvent or listened to reInvent. One of the key things that Werner Vogel said was that listen to the hero. So at least you have a very you are privileged to have a hero here, and then we're going to also listen to him. So I'm also going to listen to him, and then of course do share my thoughts as I go along. So it's great to be here, and then great to connect with all of you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. This is gonna be an interesting one, guys. Yeah. Uh, Something actually to note, all the three are AWS community builders. So I know we are in the right space. And Iwara is an AWS hero, like the first one in Africa. Guys. All right, now let's start. Let's start our day today. Now, one thing that our learners raised so much, and actually the whole session, every question that we ask has one way or another been informed by, feedback from our learners. And one thing they told us is, where do we start? I am done with looking for a job. Where do I start? And I think I'll just start with the first part of the session where Iwere is he's gonna tell us about, say, AWS career through freelancing, remote work, and consulting. Because I know you have those questions, you're thinking, how can I build an AWS career? Where do I start? Now that I have my CP certification, I have my, I'm about to get, or I already have my SA certification. Where do I start? Let me start with Iwere. He's gonna talk about, say, building your career through freelancing, remote work, and consulting. Iwere, the floor is yours.
Okay, I want to request to share my screen. I have just something really small to share, some slides.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Are you able to share now?
Trying to share. Second. Stop sharing. Okay, now the sharing is requiring me to restart my browser. Okay, you know what? Let me just kick off that way. I just wanted to share. To share some few slides I had, but if it's not working, fine. Let's just kick off. Or maybe along the way it's gonna work. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for this time and this opportunity to talk about something I love talking about. Apparently, I already introduced myself earlier, so I'm just gonna go straight to the point. So I'm going to start with a little bit of my story, then I'll go straight into the point. I know I don't have so much time, but I'll try my best not to be too excited to forget that I'm in a session. Okay. There are certain strategies, there are standard strategies that you should know and you should understand, that you should have at your fingertips when you want to go into the cloud and any other career. I mentioned earlier that I started my career in tech already, but this has nothing to do with anyone else who doesn't have a tech background or who has never done anything in tech. So please don't feel intimidated. Don't feel discouraged, please, by my story, because people will think that, well, it's because I have not done tech before. There's no hope for me and all that. But I'm just going to share basic principles that we can work with and that we can use, and then we should be able to get things up and running. Okay, so just give me a sec. Okay. So, first things first. When you want to get into the cloud, like any other field, you need to have some basic knowledge. Okay, you need to learn something. That's the first thing. So my first strategy here that I have outlined here is do an extensive course on all the basics. So if you follow me very well on LinkedIn, I'm a very strong advocate for basic knowledge. Okay. Now it's just like you are in mathematics. You want to solve quadratic equations, and you've never done 1 + 1 = 2. You've never done algebra. X plus 2 = 3. Solve for x, and you want to solve dy dx. It's going to be nearly impossible and very difficult for you to achieve. Okay, so it is important that you get the basics right. You get the basics right, and I believe that ALX has that already covered. Okay, what are the basics of DevOps? What are the basics of cloud computing? Now, a lot of people jump straight into cloud computing and forget about some of the basics that happen, which is fine, okay? Because sometimes you could just get into a training and you just have to start learning stuff. But my first advice would be to learn the basics. Now, what do the basics do for you? The basics help you to understand where to start from. They give you a foundation, they give you a strong structure that you can go and start working with. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so do an extensive course on all the basics. Now, what you need to know, what are the basics of cloud computing and DevOps? Apparently, these two fields are very related and they have some core basics. So you have operating system. You need to understand your operating system. That's like very important, okay? When I mean operating system, not how to open a Gmail address or how to create a TikTok account. That's not learning how to use a computer. So there are different layers of using a computer. You have just using the computer, you have the administrative part of using a computer. So if you have a Windows computer operating system, have you ever gone to control panel and understand everything that happens in control panel? That's like the core of the computer. You need to understand those basic things. And then if you have a Linux operating system, how well do you know your command line? How do you understand how the operating system works? What do you understand about system directories? What are the components that make up an operating system? What's a kernel? What's a shell? You need to understand those basics. Then you go into something like networking. And I heard someone talking about networking. What is networking? What is a computer network? What are the things that make up a computer network? What are the components of a computer network? What do they do? Okay, you hear things like subnetting, you hear things like NAT gateway, you hear things like routing, and all those other concepts. You need to have a good and clear understanding of all these concepts. These are the foundational things that will help you to know about cloud computing and know what to do anytime you need to do cloud.
Just give him a minute, guys. He should be back. But in the meantime, I
All
hope
right.
you're taking
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, I'm back. So, those foundational concepts are very key. So, for me, two things are very key about this field: networking and operating system. Now, these two things help you to know what to do and will help you to navigate the field more extensively. The next is to exercise your skills with projects. Okay. Now, when I talk about the basics of what you need to learn, apart from those basics like networking and operating system, there are so many other basics in DevOps and cloud that you need to know. Things like Git, okay, things like what CI/CD means, things like DevOps, things like all those things. So courses actually give you the basics. It's unfortunate that a lot of people think that courses will give you everything you need. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that most times courses don't give you real world experience. They give you the basics. They tell you the basic fundamental principles you need to know about that field that you can use to start in that field. Okay, that's what it gives you. It doesn't give you what you need to be able to be effective. It doesn't give you what you need to be able to get the job done. So there's also a lot of buzz on the internet where people tell you 0 to hero in 3 months, 0 to hero in 2 weeks. Those things are not true. You cannot start from zero and be a DevOps engineer in 3 months. Nobody ever gets that. So you need to understand that those courses, so as much as those are marketing stunts, understand that those courses are basic fundamentals. No matter how juicy the course is, no matter how they tell you, oh, when you finish this course, we'll get you a job. unfortunately, people get disappointed at the end of the day that they don't get those jobs because they think that when you do a DevOps course for 3 months or 6 months, you get a job instantly. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. There are other things you need to add to that layer. But just understand that the extensive course on all the basic fundamental principles and practices is the first step. The next step is exercise your skills with projects. Okay. The best way to know if you know what you know is to exercise them. Okay. I'm using some kind of mix of words here, not to be a motivational speaker, but the best way you can know that, oh, I learned Linux is to do a training on Linux, okay? Or do an exercise on Linux. So you are given, there's one interview I did a couple of years ago where I was given a Linux box to actually delete a file. And I did all the delete commands in Linux and it never worked. Okay, no, I'm not there yet. Go back to the previous slide. Go back to the previous slide. And all the commands I did, and I failed that interview. So please, it's not always beds, it's not always a bed of roses. Sometimes you lose and you gain. That's something else you need to understand. And I learned a lot in that interview about Linux. In short, after that interview, I had to do a fresh course on Linux after using Linux for like 3-4 years. So when you continue to exercise your skills, you get better at it. I have about 2 of them on my website. I will share the links towards the end of this session so that you can get in there. So I wrote one on AWS, yeah, and I wrote one on Kubernetes. So about 10 projects you can do on AWS, and then about 5 projects you can do on Kubernetes to test your skills. So you have finished doing your AWS certification. How well do you know what you think you have learned? It's not about passing the examinations, because from my experience, many hirers barely ask you about your certification. They want to know what you can do. I'm going to ask you questions. And also when I interview people, I never ask you about your certification. I'm just going to give you a take-home test. From that test, I'm able to know what you can do and what you can't do. Compare that with what the requirement of the business is before I say, okay, this is a good candidate for a fit. So understand that the certifications are good, but the skills also need to galvanize and amalgamate with the certification for you to be a rock star. Next is use LinkedIn for your portfolio and branding. This is very important. Okay. I'm sure those who follow me on LinkedIn know that, I live and sleep and breathe on LinkedIn. Now, that is also part of your branding. Very important. Like, people need to get tired of seeing you on LinkedIn. Like, they should be tired. Okay. But guess what? You discover that being able to write on LinkedIn every day is very difficult. It's very difficult because you have to think of something that you have to write. And when you're writing, sometimes people don't like what you write, but you just have to try. So it's about the consistency and people being able to identify that, oh, this is the person that said this, oh, this person said this. I'm going to do something here that I barely ever say outside. I've worked in various companies in the past years. Can I go to the next slide, please? It went back. Okay. And it will shock you that there was a time I needed a job and I applied to, I think, about 250 companies, and I never got any interview, neither did I get any job offer. The only time I got was when I was reached out to personally. When I was reached out to personally, I never got one. So it means that yes, the profile will be shared very soon. Okay. It means that when you show yourself, the people that need you will come for you. That's the lesson for me. Okay, that's the lesson for me. All the jobs I applied for, close to 200 jobs, and I never got any interview. I never got any job. But you see, just being on my own and getting communicated to on LinkedIn has been the best way I got most of the jobs I got, if not all of them. And having some knowledge too in the HR space, I've come to learn that most times the jobs that they come to meet you for are the ones you are likely to get and the ones you chase. just a little joke on the side or something I learned recently. Please, can you go back again? This slide is going front and back. Yeah, thank you. So I was talking about LinkedIn, using LinkedIn for your brand. So how do you use LinkedIn? The first thing is you need to have a profile that explains who you are. I'm happy that is going to be done very soon. Apart from what your profile says, you need to communicate. Okay? I know how to do this. I can do that. Oh, I worked on this. This is my GitHub repo. I wrote a Terraform code. Now, there's also something about feeling like you are too small. Please never feel like you are too small. Okay? Trust me, LinkedIn has over 1 billion people. And in those billion people, you will never believe that your post about how to create an S3 bucket can actually save somebody 2 hours or 2 days of not being able to create an S3 bucket. So you might say, oh, what's creating an S3 bucket? It's just to go to the console and create, and the bucket is created. That is a blog post. That is a LinkedIn post. As simple and as mundane it looks, or what's here. Trust me, that is a wonderful LinkedIn post that can make a major difference. And then, trust me, as people continue to see you posting, they continue to see, oh, this person is an AWS person, oh, this person is a thought leader. And that is exactly how you draw people to you. Trust me, you think no one is seeing, people can actually see what you write. And lastly, don't look for, what do I mean by that? Don't look for likes and comments because they might not come. Okay, so just know that you post and you are trying to build a brand for yourself. The next point I want to say here is attending meetups, conferences, and programs. Now, this is usually what we call iron sharpened iron. Sorry, I know that's a Christian word, but it's real. Okay, now, what meetups and conferences do for you, okay, is that it makes sure that you can meet people up, middle, and down. You meet all the layers of people. You meet industry leaders. You meet CEOs. You meet CTOs. You meet leaders. And then you meet people who are working in businesses as leaders. Maybe an engineering lead, a DevOps lead, this lead, that lead. You meet those people. And then you also meet people who are like you too, who came to learn, who came to connect, who came to share. What that does for you, apart from the motivation you get from seeing people who have done this, you also get to meet people who can also help you to grow your career as much as you can. So for me, it is one of the best ways to grow yourself, to grow your knowledge and your career. For example, in 2019, I was privileged to attend a conference in London, organized by O'Reilly. O'Reilly, I don't know, they don't do conferences anymore, but that conference practically changed my trajectory into Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the rave of the moment now, but I mean, 7 years ago, everyone was scared of Kubernetes. I also hated it so much. But going to that conference and coming back made me understand, number one, Kubernetes is going to be big. Number two, I need to learn this tool even if I hated it so much. Number three, the industry leaders are talking about it. Just like in reInvents that I attended late last year. I mean, no one needs to come and tell me, oh, GenAI is important. No one has to tell me that. So apart from connecting with up, middle, and down the ladder, you also get to know what the trends are, where the industry is moving to. What are people talking about? What are the things that will drive the future? Where do I focus my learning on? Where should I spend? Because this field is a very broad field with so many possibilities. So it's very important that you kind of have some compass that will guide you on how you navigate so that you don't learn the wrong thing. And years later, you discover that, oh, I'm actually been learning the wrong thing and no one actually needs this tool. Okay? So, very important to attend meetups, conferences, and programs. And then there's also meetups where they do practical sessions. Okay? This is one of the conversations that we're having recently about trying to make meetups to be more practical. Okay? And it can be difficult because in a session, you can have people of different experience levels. Okay, so what you need to do is still attend and learn, take notes, and just understand that these technologies exist and go back and do more reading. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, engage in communities on, so this is blocking my view. Okay, on social media. Okay, this is a step higher than the previous one I mentioned. Now, many communities create social network groups like the WhatsApp and then like the Telegrams. I have been in 2 groups recently that I cannot imagine how much value that group has brought in. Just the way you have the physical meetups where you meet people, the groups are also very helpful. Now, one of the things the group can help you for is quick responses. I'm trying to set up HA proxy and I'm getting this error. You screenshot the error and put there. And then someone will just jump in and say, oh, this is what you need to do. And boom, your problem is solved. I'm looking for an internship. Does anyone know where I can get an internship? A lot of people have gotten a lot of value from AWS credits to exam voucher credits to connections, to CTOs, a lot of value that you will not get in the outside world. So when you're in communities like this, you get a lot of value than you will ever get if you were not engaged in those communities. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Ask questions, no matter how stupid they might be, because I know that as a new entry into the field, sometimes you might feel like, when I ask this question, people are going to, you're not going to look stupid, because it will shock you that you have people like you also there who are scared to ask those questions. So when you ask this question, you have helped people and you have also learned from that. Okay, I have a friend in a group who most times he's very experienced, but he asks very mundane questions. And then you get to see people answering those questions. And in that scenario, you see that you answer some people's mind automatically without even knowing. Next is strategic job searches and application. Now, this is the most difficult part of job search. Now, it is, like I said, it is better than you have a portfolio that people are coming to look at than you are going to search for jobs. But the truth is, fire at both cylinders. Build your brand and look for a job. We have been used to, oh, you need to apply to 100 companies and pray and wait. That's not the world anymore. I'm a witness to not applying for jobs. I apply and I don't get jobs. I wait and I get jobs. That has been my story all this while. So fire at both cylinders. You really never know which will work. But when I mean strategic job searches and application, unfortunately, LinkedIn is not the best place to look for jobs. I'm sorry to say, from my personal experience, because you have, like I said, 1 billion people. And when they post a role, within 3 hours, you could have 500 applications. Now, that reduces your chances by 1 to 500. Your chances are very slim. But I saw something recently on YouTube that people do that you could also help. So I'm sharing it here, where you can filter LinkedIn for recently posted jobs and try to apply early enough. So you need to look for a job that was posted an hour ago, 20 minutes ago, and apply. It means that you will top the list in terms of those that applied for the job early enough so that you can quickly get your CV sorted before other people that are applying later. But the chances are still going to be low. So you need to, there's another technique, which is the last one I'm going to mention here, which I also found out on YouTube. Someone talked about contacting the HR and hiring managers directly. So what this person did was, you go to a job on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn still has its value, but you have to know how to strategically use it very well. You go to a job on LinkedIn and see the hiring manager, connect to the hiring manager and send an email. Thank God for AI and ChatGPT and GenAI. So you can construct a very beautiful and scintillating message and send. My name is XYZ. I have been doing this for XYZ years, and I think I'm good fit for your role because I meet this requirements. It is as good as throwing your CV into the world. But the difference is you are talking to someone directly. There is no guarantee you get a reply. There is no guarantee you get that job. But it kind of increases your chances than someone, because I'm married to a HR person, and I'm just trying to leak some secrets for you. When job applications come, the truth is they usually don't have time. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, they don't have time. I've seen through CVs too. Usually don't have time to sit and start looking at every CV and say, okay, does this person meet the criteria? Sometimes we spend 20 seconds in a CV and that's it. Unfortunately, we spend sometimes 5 seconds in a CV. Okay, so it means that the chances via CV is usually very low. Like, you have to be a very good presenter. You have to present your CV very well to catch attention. First of all, you have to draw the reviewer's attention to say, okay, this looks different. That's why if you check people who do CVs for you, they try to brand the CVs to be unique. Every CV, they are trying to make CVs to be unique from time to time. What does that do for you? It gives the hiring manager an opportunity to look at your CV twice. So if you have the normal Microsoft Word format of your skills, everything, the old school format, we put everything in one page and everything is looking modeled up. Trust me, if you're the best candidate, that CV will not last 2 seconds in the eye of a hiring manager. They skip and they move to the next person. But being able to contact directly will give the person an opportunity to go straight to your LinkedIn profile, back to the same LinkedIn we are talking about, and say, okay, this looks like someone that has some good experience. Okay, let's give it a try. It is that hiring manager that will go to the HR person and say, oh, I think I have a candidate. Can you check this person out? Now, the chances become higher when the internal person is pushing for you than when you are in a pool of 100 or 200 or 300 CVs and they try to sift through to find your one error in the CV when I have 300 people to sift through. Okay, so it's a competition. So you need to stand out both in your skills, in your techniques, in your strategies, and in your delivery. You have to stand out across board. Okay, so someone will say, oh, this everybody has this technique, everybody has this technique. Trust me, not everybody does, because you can do it 1, 2, 3 times and you get tired. So it's only those who are consistent that will get their results. So it's all about consistency at the end of the day. Okay, I mean, everybody knows how to be rich. How many people are rich in the world? Okay, so everybody knows you have to have a business to make money, but how many people can do it? So it's not about sharing this knowledge. It's about trying to ensure that you are consistent about these strategies and these techniques I have shared. So these are the few points I can share from my experience and everything that I can share for now. Can move to the next slide. Thank you very much. I'm going to share the 2 blog posts that I talked about so that we can delve in and use that for our practice. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you so much, Iwe. It is just a ton of I can feel the weight of what you have said. You have talked about everything without, say, sugarcoating. You have the way it is. I mean, that's how it is. You need to do these things, guys. I cannot thank you enough, Iwe. I think my notes are full. My notes are full. I have these slides, guys, and well, thank you so much for such kind of wisdom, you know. Thank you so much. Now, guys, how are we? How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Yeah. Let me know how you guys feeling with all that weight that has been dropped on you guys. How you guys feeling? If you're feeling well, please give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Yodanos is feeling awesome. Ahmed is feeling overwhelmed. Emmanuel is like, yo, I have work to do. Yes, yes, guys, we have work to do. So we are moving on to the second person. Let's see, we are moving on to Eric, and Eric is gonna be telling us now. Many of you have asked very many questions about, doing something beyond. From Iwara's presentation, he has said you need the certifications to learn the basics, right? And it's a question that we get often. Now, after Solutions Active, what do I do about clouds? Or what do I do about... Eric is going to tell us about that, yeah? So Eric is going to tell us about cloud and DevOps and road mapping that career and also the skills you need. I mean, Iwara has touched about so much about what you need, and Eric is going to touch about more. He's gonna touch more on that, yeah? So Eric, the ground is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mona. I want to say a special thanks to Ewere. I think he did a great job. Guys, can you give him a thumbs up again? He did a great job. Yeah, thank you so much, Ewere. And I will just continue from where Ewere ended, right? It's not going to be something different. It's not going to be like a separate section. I'm just going to connect the dots so that we should flow, right? So please, if you've taken down your notes, please don't forget what Ewere said, okay? Don't forget what he said. Every bit of what Ewere said, try to link it to what I'm going to say. Okay, so just pay keen attention and let's enjoy the conversation. So I'm going to talk about the roadmap to cloud and DevOps, right? Yes, I'm going to go straight away. What is the roadmap for you to become a cloud and DevOps engineer? Right, a lot of us here, we probably had our CP, right, our cloud practitioner. We probably had our AWS solutions architect. But now, what does it take to become a cloud and DevOps engineer? Right? What does it take to become a cloud and DevOps engineer? You might be asking yourself, but what is the difference between AWS solutions architect that I already have and then the DevOps engineer, right? So in a nutshell, the difference is that with your cloud practitioner, you've learned, or with your solutions architect, your cloud practitioner and your solutions architect, you're learning to do things manually, right? You learn to do things manually. Probably you are building a house. Instead of using machines, you're using your hands, you're using basic tools to build that house, right? And now with the DevOps and cloud, you want to automate stuff, right? You want to automate things. You want to make things go faster. You don't want to waste so much time. And that's why the cloud space, as so much as it is saturated and also so much as you go higher in the ladder, you're probably going to maybe get higher. Going to get paid higher, right? That's why they pay you. If you have a lot of experience, if you're also a senior, people like Eure, I don't want to say how much he earns, but because he's good at automation, you're automating things. You're not doing things manually. So anyone who can make things go faster, know that definitely in the long run, you're going to get paid higher. Hello, are we talking? So I hope that's why all of us are here. At the end of the day, it's all about, maybe if you are driven by the passion, at the end of the day, it's about, making a living. Not only making a living, it's about making a good living, right? So that's why companies are going to employ you, because they want you to solve problems, and not only solving problems, but automating their problem-solving strategies. So what do you need on this part? The first thing, like everybody said, you need the fundamentals. The basics, that foundation. So if you're building a house, so this is where our conversation is going to lie. It's going to center around you building a house, right? You're building a house. What do you need? You need the foundation first, right? So before constructing that house, what do you need? You need to understand the foundation, what is going to hold that house. You need to understand the different things that you're going to use to build that house. You need to understand the basic tools. And that is where Linux comes in. Linux is the operating system on which most cloud environments run on, as everybody said. I think he talked about Linux for about 2 or 3 minutes, right? And networking. So guys, try to connect the dots, okay? Try to connect the dots. Don't skip any step. Don't jump. There's no way to jump. So you need Linux first, and then you also need networking, right? So you need to, Linux is just like you learning how to use those construction tools. Maybe the hammer, maybe the digger, maybe the spade. You know how these tools, they work, what they need to do. So that is for you the importance of understanding Linux. And then networking. So networking now is in your house. You need to connect the pipes. You need to connect maybe the things in the house, and maybe the cables and all of that, how they communicate, right? So that is the importance of Linux. You need to understand IP addressing under Linux, under networking. You need to understand how devices communicate, how machines communicate. Because in the cloud, you're going to dealing with machines, people's laptop, not yours, right? So you need to understand how those machines in the cloud communicate. And then you also need to understand domain naming system, DNS, which is very important, and then firewalls. So all of this falls under networking. And then scripting, right? Of course, you're going to be using, automating skills. You need automating skills. And one of the automating language that you need is Python and Bash. So you need to understand Bash and Python. You will need these languages, to be able to automate tasks. So you need to understand them, right? And then Git. Git is very important. Now you're working in a team. How can you be able to track changes? You are constructing your house. How can you be able to track the progress of the house? They've laid the foundation, they've laid the bricks. How can you track that progress? How can you track the changes? The building plan, how is it going? So that is where Git comes in. And it's also going to help you in collaborating with your team, right? So these are the fundamentals that you need. So don't skip any of them. And then when you've had these fundamentals, when you've laid this foundation, you will need to now understand cloud concepts. Yes, you've understood how the different pieces in your house, they work, right? Now, the cloud, you need to understand those cloud concepts. And I'm happy that most of us here on the call, we've already had that understanding of the cloud concept, either through our CP or our solutions architect. We've read about it, we've understood it, right? But most importantly, you need to understand how to create them, how to create resources in the cloud, EC2, S3 buckets, VPC, and all of that. You need to understand Route 53. So all of these pieces in the cloud, you need to understand them. IAM, Identity and Access Management. And now you, in understanding them, you need to practically, understand how to create the resources. Manually, this you are doing manually. You are asked to launch an instance. Can you do it? Maybe you've read it, maybe while you're preparing your certification and you've succeeded, you passed, you've had your great points, but can you launch an instance? Can you launch an instance? So this basic stuff in the cloud, you need to understand. You understand S3, how you can use it to store data and all of that. So when you understand the cloud concept now and how to build them manually, right, on the console, and on the console, it always takes you time, right? It always takes you time, probably for the first time. It takes you time if you're doing manually. But now when you've understood how to do this manually, how can you then automate these processes? How can you then automate the provisioning of these resources? This is when, automating construction comes in. Now, the house that we're talking about, right? You've understood the different pieces. You've laid the foundation. You don't want to be, bringing so many people on your construction site to be carrying bricks. You want to bring machines to do the tasks for you easily, right? You need infrastructure as code. You need infrastructure as code. And what do you need to learn? You need to understand Terraform. How you can use Terraform, to automate infrastructure provisioning. Instead of creating your S3 bucket on the console by clicking here, or launching your instance, you click, you give the name of the instance, you give the AMI, you select the AMI, the instance type, the security groups, and all of that. Instead of clicking on the console, you need to understand how to use Terraform to automate all of that provisioning. It makes work easier. It saves you time. And most importantly, it can help you replicate it in a different environment, right? It can help you replicate your task in a different environment. And then, coupled with that, you also need to understand CloudFormation. Of course, you need to understand CloudFormation. So you don't need to skip any of the steps. Don't skip any. If you skip any of the steps, it's going to come back to you. It's going to come back to you. It's going to hit you. And a lot of times from my experience, when I'm discussing with people, a lot of times people reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then since they've chosen probably the self-paced path of learning the cloud, they're like, Eric, I've completed my cloud practitioner, I've had the AWS Solutions Architect, and I don't know how to continue in the cloud, be a DevOps engineer, right? And I always give them this part, this chronology. And when I listen to their story, they will tell me that they've gone to YouTube and then they've listened to this blog, and they're telling them that they should do this, they should do this, they should, learn this tool, they should maybe learn Docker or maybe learn Terraform. And then sometimes a lot of them go and start from Docker before coming back maybe to the basics, to the foundation. And then when you start Docker, you get hooked. You are stuck. You're stuck. You don't know where to continue. Or maybe you go on Medium and then you listen to a blog, and then somebody gives a different path or a different tool that you need to learn, and then you jump on that tool. You've forgotten about Docker. You jump on that tool. Maybe you go back to Terraform, right? You've learned about Terraform, right? You learned about Terraform, but you've not learned about, you don't have the foundation in cloud, the cloud concept. So what are you provisioning with? What are you automating? Which cloud resources are you automating? Right? And then you get them confused. And then they go on LinkedIn and then somebody talks about Kubernetes. That Kubernetes is the hot cake now. You need to learn Kubernetes. As a cloud engineer, you need to learn Kubernetes. And then you forget about your Terraform, you go to Kubernetes. So guys, this is the challenges people are facing. These are challenges people are facing. So don't skip any step. If you skip, it's going to come back to you. Yes. So now when you've understood how to provision your resources in an automated way, Now, the DevOps aspect of stuff, right? You need to understand now CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development, right? And automation. So now that you provision your infrastructure, you've automated your infrastructure provisioning. How can you maintain? How can you maintain that infrastructure? You've automatically built your house. You've automated the construction of your house. How can you maintain it? How can you maintain it? And you're not only maintaining it, but you need to automate that maintenance. Again, everything is around automation. Cloud and DevOps is about automation. You are there to save time. Yes, you are there to save time. So now you have your house, right? You've constructed and all of that. You need to know where the lights turn on automatically, right? You need to know how to lock your doors automatically. You need to know how to close your windows automatically. Basically that. You need to know how to shut down system automatically and reboot them automatically or restart them automatically without going to the console. Without going to the console. So that is where CI/CD comes in, right? Which are the tools that you need to learn? Jenkins comes in, right? Jenkins comes in, GitHub Actions. You're going to have AWS Code Cloud, Code Pipeline. You need to learn them. And other tools. And then when you've understood, automating your maintenance, right? Everybody talks about hands-on. You need to practice. You need to practice. Learn, understand how to deploy, infrastructure. Do it practically. Don't just read about it, blogs. Don't just listen to YouTube recordings or videos. Do it practically. Go to the console, right? Use up, integrate those tools and work with them. Get your hands dirty, as I say. Build, break, and fix. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. If it fails, check your logs, right? Or maybe you can just do stuff. Just play around it. Just play around it and get your hands dirty. So after you've done this now, probably you've understood you had for those who have not had the cloud practitioner and the solution architect, that's where you might be getting into the certifications, right? You can now get your certifications. But for me, fortunately, when I was getting into cloud, during my training, within the first 3 months of first 3 weeks of my training, I got my cloud practitioner because I was that hungry. I didn't have any background in IT, but I was that hungry. I was, committed to it. So for me, getting the cloud practitioner within 3 weeks, it wasn't for me about getting the job. No, that wasn't the essence here. It was for me, understanding more of the concepts, laying that foundation. And when I got it, it was like a springboard for me. It boosted me. I was like, yes, this is for me. This journey is for me. This is my career. Right? So if you haven't had your certifications, after you have this foundation, right? After you understood the automating processes, now get to certify yourself, to prove yourself. Right? Get a certificate to prove yourself. Certifications are not going to get the job, like Ore said. They are not going to get you, but they're going to prove that you know. They're going to prove that you know. Now, when you've had all of this, you integrate it. You're not only learning or you're not only following this path, and you're waiting that, wait, let me finish this roadmap before I start posting on LinkedIn. No. Don't wait to start posting on LinkedIn. Once you start your journey into cloud, start sharing your story on LinkedIn. Recruiters want to see some track. They want to see your progress. You just get up one morning and said you are a DevOps engineer, and then you posting maybe about projects. From the start, they might doubt, but if you have like a journey that you've been posting for maybe 1 year, 2 years ago, they've seen your journey and they've seen your path, they've seen the foundation, they've seen all these tools you've learned, you posted on LinkedIn, you posted on Medium. It gives them trust that you can do it. You've had that foundation and you can do it. Right? So all of this integrated with using social media and sharing your story, and also creating your GitHub account, your profile, your portfolios, and all of that is going to help you on your AWS cloud and DevOps journey, right? Again, you need the foundation. before you understand the automating tools, right? And this is not enough. The other skills that you need the soft skills. You need the soft skills, which is very, very important, because these soft skills, you can get the job with your technical skills, but what is going to sustain you on that job is your soft skills. You're on a team with developers, with database admins, right? With business managers. And you're unable to communicate. You are able to explain to them, right, in a layman's way what you're doing so that they understand. Then you might not be able to, sustain yourself on that job. You need to learn how to communicate. Communication is very important. It's very important. And don't wait until you say you're going to have a separate session, you're going to have a separate class on how to learn how to communicate. No, it starts from day one on your cloud journey, right? And one of the things I'll encourage everyone here is to join a community. Join a community. Yes, somebody's talking about money, right? Join a community. Don't sit behind your computer every day in your house and then you are clicking the console every day. And then you go on YouTube and then you're following what people are saying on your computer, behind in your house every day. Join a community, be it physically or online, right? Be with people whom you can support, who can support you. I remember there was a time in my journey, in my cloud journey, that I almost gave up. I almost gave up when I started seeing Terraform. When Terraform came into to the mix, right? Yeah, it was tough because I didn't come from any tech background. I didn't have any background in tech. So when I started seeing code and all of that, I was like, no, this thing is not for me. There's one particular class that I missed in my community, one particular class I missed. I'll never forget that class. And it was because of Terraform. So anytime I remember that class, it reminds me that, hey, Eric, you know what? Never give up. And this was because I was within a community. So my friends have to call me that what's happening? We didn't see you in class. In our last session, what happened? And I told them it's a long story, but it was just a short story. So that is the thing. If you are able to join a community that can support you, that can motivate you, that can inspire you, that can raise you up when you're down, please, if you have the means, join a community. Somebody talked about money, right? And it's one of the things that we encourage here in SolarVis Tech. In SolarVis Tech, it's not just a training bootcamp like maybe most people will see. We build a community where we support everyone. We take you from day one. And it's not only in the training, even on your job, we give you support all the way. So that at some point, you don't feel like giving up. A lot of people start this journey and they give up because they feel it's tough. Yes, it's tough. But if you don't surround yourself in the right community, then you're going to give up easily, right? And then one of the skills that you need is documentation. You need to learn how to document. Again, it goes back to LinkedIn. Are you documenting on LinkedIn? Are you documenting on Medium? Right? How is your GitHub profile? Do you have projects that you can demonstrate that you've documented? Right? So everything turns around. And then you also need to learn how to collaborate. I talked about collaboration. You are going to be in a team with so many people, right? And people from different aspects of life. So you need to learn how to collaborate. And then problem solving and troubleshooting. Problem solving and troubleshooting. A lot of times when you're running a pipeline, it might fail. Are you able to troubleshoot? Are you able to troubleshoot? I remember there was a time I almost gave up because I troubleshooted a pipeline, I think it was around 20 times. And when I was almost gave up, around the 21st time, I tried and then it ran. It succeeded. Right? So that is what companies are looking for when you're going out in the job market. So there's a lot to say, there's a lot to talk about. I want to give it up here. And I said, if you want to get on this journey, make up your mind first. Make up your mind. Everything starts with the brain. Everything starts with the brain, right? Yes, so I didn't have any tech background. I did it, and because I was in a community. I did it because I was committed. I did it because I was hungry. I was hungry, right? So I hope we can connect more. You can check my LinkedIn profile. I always share my story. I always share my story, share my experience. I hope we can learn from each other. So it's here that I hand over the mic.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for the nuggets. At some point when you were talking, I was just like, it feels like, when you're in a class and the teacher is dropping nuggets, and so everybody is just tongue-tied. They're like, mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So for a minute, it felt like that. And well, yes, guys, I hope you're taking notes. You are taking notes. Can I get claps for Eric in the chat section? Also, guys, I see we have quite a number of questions and we are throwing them in the chat and we could easily just miss them. So please just put them on the Q&A tab, yeah? Put them on the Q&A tab. But before Eric, you go away, please tell us the name of the community. I think people want to join. Grace is asking that. That's the name as we move on.
Okay, the name was Community Solavis Technologies Institute. I'm going to paste our LinkedIn page and also our community, our WhatsApp general community, so that you can join. And we'll be launching our cohort, our next cohort for trainers, cloud and DevOps next month. So I'm going to paste the link so that you can join our community and you can reach out to me directly for any inquiries as well. I'm here to support you. I never had any tech background. I can hold your hand and take you wherever you want to be.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. For those of us who say, I am doing this without a tech background, Eric is a cloud farmer. He was a farmer before he came to the side. So please know it is very possible. Now, guys, I know time is not looking very good and we have a few more things to do, but I want to introduce our last guest. He's going to be talking about, certifications and experience. So I am going to introduce to us Emmanuel. As Emmanuel is coming on board, I want to share my screen. I want to share my screen. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hi, Boda, thanks so much for taking this. And I know that time is not on our side, so I'll try to be as very brief as possible. And I would say that with regards to certifications and then the basic skills, right? I think the team has spoken largely on that, so that should be pretty fine. But just a few pointers that I put down that I wanted to highlight. Okay. Now, the key thing, so if you are talking about the certifications and then we are talking about the experience, one thing to note is that the skills and then the experience is something that you need. And I mean, I'm very conversant with the AWS programs, so Restart and then Academy. Now, the good thing is that it actually helps you to build these skills and then experiences. Now, I know that you guys actually do some projects together. That's also part of the experience. So whatever project you are doing, you notice that you have someone maybe help with some aspects of whatever you are doing. So someone will be in charge of, let's say, deploying the database. Someone will be in charge of writing some script, maybe writing the CloudFormation templates and all of that. These are things that you build on, and then these are the key things that you actually look out for. So if you are talking about your branding, so you remember Emery mentioned that you putting on LinkedIn and all of that. Now, these are the experiences that you've gotten over the period. So it's key that you actually now share those ones also wherever you are. So those little things, those are not little as much as you see them. Those are not little. Those are very much a very huge step that you are taking. So these are things that you can put out there. Have some bit of repositories to hold some codes that you are doing and all of that, and then you can look at that. Now, the second point, so certifications are things that you can look at a later time. Now, I'll tie that in with the last one. So if you are taking the AWS exams, one of the key things they talk about is some recommended period. Okay, so AWS has, let's say, for cloud practitioner, I mean, everyone is welcome to take that, which is very good because at least that's where you actually get to learn about the cloud. So that's the building blocks. Now, if you go to more advanced certifications, let's say SysOps or developer associate, you are required to have, some experience on the ground. Okay, so as someone who is starting off, still ties in with the experiences. So you build the experience and then you can look to take these exams later. So don't be chasing the 12 certifications at the same time. It gets a bit dicey in there. So just try to build on the skills, right? Then you can look at the certifications at a later time. Now, one interesting thing that most people don't know is that, when you are working with AWS, or if you're onboarded with AWS, one of the first things they ask you to do is to take the certification exam. So I think cloud practitioner. So if it's something that you've not already taken, that's the time that they will have you take that exams as someone who is working within AWS. That tells you that it's not necessarily about the certifications that will bring you into the room. It's actually the experience that you are looking out for. So whatever experience. So do you know, I think Eric talked about quite a number of things. So do you know about all of these things, and then how do those sort of fall in there? Okay, so once you are building on your experience, now AWS has a listing of some career paths. So I think I did a session on that within the AWS Community Day last year. Okay, you can actually check that out. But you have these mappings that tell you that, okay, when you want to focus on maybe DevOps engineer, what are some of the certifications that will be very helpful to you as you go along? So you don't have to maybe focus on some certifications that will not be very necessary to you. Okay, so there are some that are very good to suit your path. So if you're a developer, for example, definitely developer associate will be something that you'd be looking out for. Okay, if you are looking for a DevOps, that will be DevOps professional. So these are all things that you actually look at as you build your experience, and then you are now ready to start off with whatever you are doing. Now, if you get into the interview, there are thousands of people who have the AWS certification. So I'm sure for all of us by now, we have our solutions architect associate, or maybe the cloud practitioner. Now, when you're in the interview room, it's not necessarily about the certification, but what exactly makes you stand out there. So if you are there. So I remember when I was doing my current role, when I was doing the interviews. Now, they were asking me, okay, so what's some experience you have, let's say maybe migrating data from one end to the other? Okay, so these are things that they are looking out for. Now, as relates to my certification, there was no question about that, because I mean, you have that, that's fine. But when it comes to the job itself, what have you done in there? So it could be that you may not have done that extensively, let's say maybe within an organization, but by yourself, you built a lab. So even with some of the labs that are incorporated into the academic courses, you realize that you'd be doing quite a number of things. So maybe setting up an EC2 instance, maybe you are working with the data migration tool. So these are all experiences that you've actually built. And I must stress here that all the labs that you've done, right? If you can have the chance to document them as things that you've done, these are things that you can speak to when you are actually within the interview room. Okay, so because these are more or less real world experiences. So just take note of that, note them down somewhere. If you are asked to talk about your experiences, these are some of the experiences that you could actually talk about. So maybe you are doing you have an S3 bucket, and then you are hosting some static web pages there. This is something you can talk about. So end to end, what did you do? How did you work around the IAM permissions? How did you maybe even limit that to a particular geographic location, or let's say a particular IP address? So these are very basic, but these are things that tell that, okay, you know your stuff, you know what you are doing in there as well. And then the last thing I would say is that experiences are things that you build on daily. Okay, so you have your experience now within the program. Now, interestingly, when you get into the job market and then you start working, right, there may be some things that you may not have come across before. And that doesn't mean that you've actually not done anything as relates to the cloud. It's just about you now building your experience to accommodate those new learnings that are upon you. So, there may be some particular way the company will do their things. There may be some particular technologies that they will be akin to. So maybe they may not necessarily be using standard SQL or, let's say, relational databases. They may be using maybe non-relational databases. So that's a new learning curve that you're going to be having. Let's say in terms of the identity and then access management, right? There are things that they tend to, they have a specific way they go about that. Maybe they use some cloud formation templates to go about that, or that's something you understand already. But this time they may be using maybe Terraform or something else. It doesn't mean that you don't know about, let's say, infrastructure as code, but it's now time for you to now build on those additional skills. Maybe previously you just did something with, let's say, EC2, but once you get in the job, you may be required to work with containers. So then you have to look at the ECS, EKS, and then all of those things along that. Maybe they may even use some external softwares, but it's all day by day. So those experiences are things that you have to now look to build on. Okay, so I think that would be what I would say. So the basics, skills, and then the experiences really matter. So soft skills, hard skills, I think someone put extraterrestrial skills. All of those are still things that you need as you go along. And then you can build from there with the certifications and then build day by day, and then you should be good to go. All right. So that would be the little I would probably add. And thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for compiling that and saying that in very few words, guys. Yeah. Yo, I am loving this. I don't know if you guys are loving this, but please give Emmanuel his claps because I think he's done a fantastic job of summarizing a ton of nuggets in very few words. That is really good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Now, guys, I promised you guys that we're going to review portfolios, but because of time, we're only going to review just one, not very many, just one. And then I hope from that one, we can all learn how to do, say, proper portfolios, yeah? So Emmanuel is still on the spot, and I am going to put him on the spot again to review one of the portfolios. Now, Emmanuel, would you like me to still project the portfolio?
Yes, that would be good.
All right. Okay, let me do so. Guys, I really hope you guys are taking notes because if you're not, yup, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna help you, but yeah. Let me just put back my screen again. Right. So let me move on to this one, Emmanuel. It
All
belongs
right.
to Dennis, I hope you're here. I saw you a few minutes. I hope you're still here.
All right. Great. So I think maybe I'll just get started. Now, I think for all of us, we would bear that this looks minimal, but it sort of draws you into to sort of find out more. Okay, so you can see, for example, we have the introduction, right? And he highlights quite a couple of things in there, which he has done. So he's a software engineer by, let's say, passion. So you remember even when Eric was talking, he talks about where exactly he comes from and then how he's gotten here. So these things also get to speak to a lot of things. Now, if for Eric, for example, when he was also doing the introduction, he was saying that he's from a background that's to do with, let's say, farming, right? Now, if there's a project in the cloud and, they want someone who is in depth as relates to agriculture, that is something that becomes to his advantage because he has that bit of a background. So you never know what you actually put out there, whatever background that you are coming from, it still adds to whatever you're doing. And I think Dennis did a great job with that, talking about his software engineer experience. Okay, now that would be an added advantage for him because now, the company would realize that, okay, this is someone who understands the ins and outs of, let's say, some particular programming language. I think he did not really state here the programming languages, but that would be a further point that the team would ask that, okay, so which languages are you, let's say, working on, or which languages have you worked on ideally? So then I think you can also add that to say that, okay, these are some of the languages that you've worked on, or these are some of the languages that you've used previously. Okay, but you putting that there in the first place, that shows that indeed, you have some bit of a background. So it doesn't matter for all of us. So if you have some different background, and I know that for these programs, a lot of us are from, let's say, some different background trying to move in there. So you may be someone from the business background. It also adds a great joint for you because if you are, let's say, going to a financial institution, you're working there, it's good to hear that, okay, you've been in a financial institution before, and then you switched in there. That also shows how resilient you are, and then how you are sort of updating yourself and then upgrading yourself in there. And I think with regards to the mission, okay, that also is a good point. So what exactly are you bringing on board aside, let's say, all the skills that you have? So you realize that Dennis, for example, put here that what, in terms of his mission, so he's supposed to build out some high resilient software, talking about consistency, fault tolerance, and all of those things. Those are pretty much good to go. And you see that he has a listing of some certifications here as well. And I think you could also list in terms of this particular program, so the ALX program. Now, you notice that ALX is not just in Africa, or it's not just in, let's say, one country. So I know that we have that in Ghana, we have that in Kenya, Morocco and all of that. Now, adding that also gives you some bit of attraction because you never know who might be on the panel who would actually be, let's say, a former student of ALX or would have worked with them in the past as well. So these are all things that you could also look at because you notice that even with the sponsors that we have on board, I know that MasterCard sort of sponsors some of the things that we do here. So these are all things that you could also add. And I think the key thing here is also with the contact. So it's good. Now, how can someone reach out to you, if anything? So these are all good ways to go. Could we look at the repositories for a bit? So there was a second profile I was supposed to review alongside this, but I think I don't really get to look at that. But so you realize that if let's scroll down and then let's see. I think there's some bit of okay, so we see that we have something to do with the cloud custodian here. Okay, so if you were applying to a cloud role, okay, now let's see how long ago was that updated? That was from October 9th, okay, which is pretty good, okay, but you know, one of the things people would ask you is how current are you or how in terms of your studies, how much are you going with that? Okay, so you having more recent projects or maybe some links and articles will be a good advantage. I mean, targeting the role that you are doing. So maybe if you have a cloud engineering job, definitely you need to have something showing that, okay, you are not, let's say, sleeping on the skills, but it's something you are putting out there as always. Okay, so just look at that, if anything, because I think with this, that will be about 3 months or 6 months in there, which might be a bit tricky because then it would be like, okay, so what have you been doing within these 3 months? So at least as much as possible, your profile should be up to date to give a fair idea of what exactly has been done over the period. I think these are more or less a bit of what I would add in. All right, thank you. And when I think you are still muted. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I hope Dennis, I know Dennis is here. You have taken a bit of notes, yeah, and you know how to, now make this much better. But thank you, Dennis, for sharing this. I know a few of us shared a few more of these, but we're not going to be able to review all of them because of time, and also because I still want us to tackle some of the questions that we had, yeah. So I'm gonna let Eric and Ibere just tell us from the profiles they reviewed, what is the one thing that they want you guys to know without say as doing what we have done with Dennis. May something take a minute or two. Eric and Ibere, just tell us from the profiles that you reviewed, what is the one thing that you guys want people to improve on, or what is it that they can jump on very quickly? Eric, maybe we can start with you.
Okay, yes. So the profile that I reviewed, one thing I would say is that the projects can I share my screen really quick?
Yes,
Because
yes. Allow me to do that.
okay, all right, thank you. Let me just share it really quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Perfect, perfect. So this is the profile I was to review or I've reviewed. So these are the projects. Hope we can all see. We see here automating infrastructure deployment, automating infrastructure with AWS CloudFormation, creating up to securing applications by using Amazon Cognito, right? So what I would say is that this profile, the naming is not standardized, right? When somebody opens your profile, get your portfolio, they want to see some standardization with your projects, the way you name them. This has a different convention. This is different, right? So normally when you're naming, always use a standard naming, a standard convention. So don't just name like this. Either you name it this way or you use the hyphen in between. But recommendably, you use the hyphens in between so that you don't confuse between your projects and the normal text on your UI, right? That's the first thing. And then secondly, the key thing about this project is that the project, they don't have the objective. Each project, they don't have a README file. The projects don't have a README file. For example, this one, when I open it, you see there's no README file. It's just showing me steps. So what is the README file going to do? If I get to your portfolio right now, I want to see in this project, what's the title? Okay, the title is there, but what is the objective? What is the objective of this project that you did? Right? What are the services and the tools that you use in this project? That should be in the README file. Right? I want to see an architecture of that project, the design. I want to see it in the README file. Right? And then I want to see like the steps detailed, right? They should be detailed. And when I say detailed, they should be detailed. So that if I pick up this project, I can replicate it. Detailed step of how you did it from step one, how you created the resources, step by step with screenshots that you've already done. So that I can easily replicate. So that if I'm having any issue, if I want you to troubleshoot, I can always refer to this. I always come back to this document. Now, when you've highlighted those steps, right, did you face any challenges? Put those challenges there. The issues and how you troubleshooted them. That is what recruiters want to see. Right? And then maybe if there's anything to learn from that project, also put it there. Lessons learned. So that is what each project is supposed to have. You're supposed to have the README file, which is going to highlight the objectives of the project, the architectural design, and another key thing is also the script, the configuration files. It should show me the configuration files in each project. So if I pick up maybe the code base, right, I can replicate that code base in my environment as well. So those are the key things that I noticed that the portfolio needs to, work on. All the projects. So basically that. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. I know this one belonged to Lisa, and I know you're here, and probably you have taken note of the feedback. And guys, we are learning as we go. So if your profile is like Lisa's, now you know what to work on, right? Now, let me bring Ewere on to just say something small, slightly about what the profile they reviewed, so that we can move on to questions. Ewere?
I have a screen sharing issue, so you help me share the screen. I don't want to leave the call. If I want to share, I have to leave the call and join again.
All right, let me get yours. Let me get it. Just a minute. Okay. It should be up in a sec. It should be up in a sec.
Okay.
This was it. Hey, oh, this is a nice one. I feel like, oh, Paul, I know you're here, Paul. I have seen you on call.
Oh, this is the one you shared? I thought it was something else you shared.
All right. Was it this one here too? Stella.
Which one? Anyone you want me to look at, I'm fine.
It's okay.
Anyone?
We can start with this Paul.
Okay. So my first feedback would be that it's a bit attractive and it's a bit sinister. I use that word sinister because I don't get exactly what you do from a glance. So it means that you want me to do the work. Like I need to navigate to see what's going on. So remember what I said about HR people. They won't have that time. Maybe me as an engineer, I'll be very interested to see what's going on here. So just take that feedback. So just navigate a bit, click on the about. Let's see what's going on there. Okay. Now I'm seeing what you can do. Okay. I'm seeing what you can do. I'm seeing HTML. I'm seeing CSS. I won't read all the story, unfortunately. I will just go straight down. I'm playing the devil's advocate now, so you can pick the lessons from what I'm trying to do. So just scroll down. I'm not interested in all the story. I just want to see, okay, React Git, okay. AI, what's AI tool? Okay, I don't understand what that means. That doesn't make any sense. What's AI tool? You're trying to make me hire you because you think you know AI. So that's off. You sure that puts me off already totally. You're trying to follow the waves, so that's already puts me off totally. So it's that you don't put it at all. But if you want to put AI, you need to put something specific, something that I can understand. You can say Copilot for programming. That makes a lot of sense. I know how to use Copilot or something like that. Cloud for programming, implement cloud for programming. That's fine, So don't just say AI tool. AI tool is very vague, very very vague. So you have to be careful because one thing can put someone off. Okay, now it's becoming interesting. So the first thing is this should be at the top of the page. This should be at the top, not at the bottom. But like I said, I don't have time to be looking at your beautiful background that has codes from a movie, and I don't have that time. I don't want to see exactly what you can do. So you have to figure out a way to put this to be more one of the first things I see. So I know, oh, cloud practitioner. Okay, good. Okay, software engineer. Okay. So this is the first thing I need to see, either as a hiring manager or as a HR person. This is what I want to see. Like every other thing you're showing me, I'm not very interested in them. Okay, portfolio, let's go. Aha, okay. Oh, this can be better though. How can it be better? So it's a portfolio. So explain the portfolio to me. I'm just seeing images. What's the first image about? What's the second image about? What's that image about? Don't tell me that there's a link to read. No, I don't have time. I don't have time to read. Okay, so I don't have time to read. So don't give me that work of trying to click and read and no. And secondly, your project information is kind of vague. It's not detailed enough. Sometimes you need to be as concise as possible. So category web design is actually not my business. Technologies used, okay, that shows your skills. Project URL, word of caution. I built websites for about 10 years. One thing that happens as a freelance web designer or someone learning how to build websites or building websites for people is URLs will always fail. So I will advise that you don't put URLs of someone else's project, because I might want to say, okay, this project is, and I click and boom, the domain has expired after 3 years and it was never renewed. It doesn't tell very well because there's already anticipation to say, I need to hire this guy and pay this person $7,000, and boom, this beautiful project is not available. So that's not very good. So please, I will advise, don't put URL. For the YouTube URL, if you are in control, that's fine. But if it's a third-party website, don't put it, because they can delete that video someday and it kills the experience of whoever is trying to look at your stuff. And like I said, technologies used, beautiful. Then explain the project. Created React-based website with Firebase and smooth user experience. What does it do? What's the product? So to some extent, you need to tell me the value behind it. Built a website for a law firm that does a lot of this thing, that help them to do this. So you can talk about the project and the value you give to the business. In summary, talk about the project. That 3-4 lines is fine. You don't have to go into detail. Okay. As someone in development cloud, I can say use this project to automate scripts to improve deployment from 10 deploys a day to 50 deploys a day. Measurable metrics and insights. So I know that this person achieved this. Okay. For example, one of the things I always talk about during my early careers is I saved the cost of my business from $10,000 to $4,000. Measurable. Okay. That means this guy is a saver. Okay, let's get him on board. We have been spending too much money on our cloud environment. That's the way it works. So you can close that. You can close that. Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, I think I've attended to this one. Scroll down. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. And then
Oh my. Okay. Contact. I'm a bit skeptical about contact because you don't want spammers to start carrying your emails to do a lot of wrong things. So kind of can shy away from it, because I can see there's a phone number, there's an email address. I know we are all looking for jobs, I understand, but you also have to be, careful about data privacy. That's where you start getting unsolicited emails and unsolicited calls, because you put your phone number and your email address on the public internet. I know how it can be. I have not even read the internet of my data, so I'm still working hard towards it. But for a website like this, you have to try your best not to put. You can put your LinkedIn profile. That's fine. Whoever is looking for you will go to your LinkedIn and check, or your X account. They will go. They will DM you. Just when Mona DM'd me, they will DM you and they will find you. So don't worry. Don't be scared. We know what happens in LinkedIn. We know the secrets that go on in LinkedIn. So don't worry yourself. Don't be too scared. Just be as professional as possible. I already mentioned some things. Number one, as I land on your website, I need to see exactly what you can do. That's the most important thing I want to know. What can you do? Don't tell me you're a front-end engineer. In front-end, there's Vue.js, there's React.js, there's Next.js, there is full stack, but it's also JS. There are no many JS frameworks. I might be hiring for React.js, and I'm looking for a React person. And you didn't put React in the first 2 pages. I'm going to close that tab and open the next tab. So you don't want that to happen. So you need to push the things you want them to see. The 2 things you need them to see, the 2 things you are selling in a CV. Number 1, your technical skills. Number 2, what you have done. So as far as I'm concerned, there are only 2 pages important in this website resume and portfolio. Those are the 2 important things. So you can actually squash everything into just 2 pages. You see, about resume, contact, portfolio, you can squash it into portfolio and have just 2 pages, home and portfolio. Okay? In your resume, you take the job, just like the resume looks good. I like what you did. You put what you did, the year you did it, where you worked. And then the next thing is your portfolio. The project name, description of the project, the project name, description of the project name, description of the project, and that's it. Also good, you kept it simple. 3-4 projects, that's fine. But the project name, description on the side, technologies used, the value achieved. The project image, technologies used, value achieved. So that if I want to click it, do you understand? If I want to click it, I will click it. But don't make me to click it to be able to see what I need to see. It will take me a long time. Like I said, you need to, first impression matters. We always say first impression. I'm sorry, first impression matters at this time. Nobody will have another time to give you a second chance for a second impression. So first impression matters. Let me stop there. Let me not say what I wanted to say, but first impression matters. First impression matters. You're going to check a girl for the first time. This is not how you will come, So first impression matters. You have this beautiful girl you have been looking around in your street and you want to talk to her. You're not going to come like this. You bring your resume at the top first and talk about the Rolls Royces you have in your compound, even if you don't have anyone. So that's the way it is. Like a salesman. He has nothing to sell, but he tells you that he can sell all the brands in the world. The same concept. So we need to understand that looking for a job is as good as selling. You are selling yourself. Imagine you want to sell yourself to that girl that you want to talk to. You have been seeing the girl for months and you have been saving money to take her out. This is not how you will come to her. So try to imagine it that way and how you will package yourself so that people can see you as a shiny metal, as a shiny gold, and very attractive. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Imer. I think if it's anything I've gotten is put your Rolls Royce up here, guys. Yeah, put it up here. So we are not gonna take very many questions because of time. We are out of time, but I will take 2 questions, guys. 2 questions. I know, but I'll take 2 questions. So, one here, let me just read it out loud. And this one, I think I'll direct this to Eric, where he says, Eric, if you would do it all over again, what path would you take to become a DevOps engineer? What path? If you do it all over again, the path you will take to become a DevOps engineer. Also, we don't have so much time, so we can keep the answer short. Thank you.
Okay, so what path will you take to become a DevOps engineer? Right, I'm just going to make a recap of what I already said. First things first, the foundation. Right, you need the foundation, and this foundation is understanding Linux, the Linux operating system, because it's on this system that most cloud environments they run on. You need to understand networking. You need to know how devices communicate, right? You need to understand IP addressing, DNS. And then when you've had this foundation, you can learn about cloud, right? AWS or GCP or whichever platform, right? You need to understand this. And then when you've understood the cloud concept, EC2, S3, and all of that, you then need to know how to automate the provision of those sources or of those services in AWS. So instead of clicking the console, you're going to use Terraform or CloudFormation, right? And when you've understood this, you now have to understand how to maintain that infrastructure you provisioned in an automated way, right? Automated maintenance. So you need to understand the Jenkins, Maven, and all of that, all the tools, right? And then when you've had this understanding now, you can then, any other tool can come in, right? Docker, Kubernetes, they can come in that order. So the first thing first, foundation, cloud concepts, automation, right? And then from there, you can keep learning. It's always a continuous process, right? So I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you so much. I hope we have all gotten the answer there. So I'm gonna ask Emmanuel the second. We don't have so much time, so I'm gonna ask Emmanuel the second question is, would you advise that we post stroke document the weekly modules we have learned, say the weekly modules or the projects or the labs on LinkedIn as a way of showcasing your journey? So I guess this is someone who's starting out and they do weekly projects and modules, labs. Would you advise that they post that on LinkedIn on a daily, or not on a daily as they work on?
Okay. So I think on a weekly should be fine, right? Or maybe more or less based on some milestones. So if you are doing something based on the aspects you're looking at, so let's say maybe with databases, you could probably share about that, what you actually did. Or if you do, I mean, so based on those projects, maybe weekly, you have some labs going, you could actually share on that. Or you could spotlight on one that you actually had some deep understanding and you are comfortable maybe speaking to. So that could be something that you could put out there. Then you could have maybe a whole listing of the others as well, maybe in one documentation. That's also fine. So any of those literally work fine. There's not really a one-way approach to do that, but just go about that and then you should be okay to go. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I hope, guys, we're getting the answer. So the last question I'm gonna post it to Evere. So someone is saying, simple as, how do we get remote jobs? Where do I go looking for these remote jobs? Evere?
Oh, that's for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. I wish there was a way. Ah. Whew. I would say I'll go back to what works for me, what I've worked for me over the years. Just be available. Just advertise. Advertise yourself. Sell yourself. That's for me, that's like the golden rule. After COVID, I was getting at least 8 DMs from recruiters globally. You don't like the start of the answer. I have to be truthful. I'm not gonna come here and say, you know what? No, this is. Trust me. There's no hard and fast rules. Sell yourself. Be very good at what you do. Yeah, try to be very good at what you do. That's one of the greatest things because the truth is, it's not about even getting the job. People like to get the job, and in 2 months they lose the job. So that's even something we didn't talk about here. Maybe you should plan another session for retaining a job because it's a very big conversation about retaining a job. A lot of people think it's about getting the job. Sometimes retaining the job is also a very big, difficult thing to do. You need to understand the politics of the job. You need to understand the nuances, how to, that's like a separate conversation, but I'm not going to go into that. But be good at what you do. Sell yourself and open your eyes. That's what I'll say. Open your eyes. Be good at what you do. Sell yourself and open your eyes. Open your eyes include be on LinkedIn, join communities, ask questions. Some people actually are in a job where they can tell you, oh, we have an opening. Do you understand? Oh, we have an opening in my company. I mean, it's a US company. We have opening. We've been looking for someone. Can you join? One of the jobs I got, that was what happened. So I interviewed for a Nigerian company and I didn't like the conversation. They got back to me. They reached out back to me. I told them I'm not interested. 2 years later, the same recruiter gets a job in the US company and says, we are looking for engineering manager. Are you interested? And I didn't interview, I got the job. You understand? So you really don't know how these things work. And there's something else I need to mention. Yes, I didn't mention this before now, but I think I should mention it now. Interviews are very powerful. Look for interviews. One of the things that helped me when I had career crisis, I had career crisis at the time because I didn't know where the industry was going. I wasn't sure because I had a job, and my job kind of boxed in my mind to what was going on in the industry. Okay, so one of the ways I did that is to get into interviews. Okay, interviews, when they ask you questions, it gives you an idea of what's going on in the industry. Oh, I've done 3 interviews and I see they are talking about Kubernetes. I've done 5 interviews, they're talking about GenAI. It gives you an idea. It's like an expo that you can't go and know what to study and improve on. Or some interviewers are kind enough to tell you what you did not do well on the interview. There's some of them that are that kind, not all, some are that kind, and you should ask also. It's your right actually to ask, what did I not do well in this interview? Is there something I need to do better? It is a very, very important way to get a job faster than everyone else. Okay, if you just take it, oh, I've lost this interview, and you just move ahead, trust me, you're missing an opportunity to grow. Because the next interview you might fail again and not know that maybe your CI/CD skills are not up to par, and because of that you're not passing any interview jobs. So try to get as many interviews as you can, local, international, anyhow. Somehow they all converge to certain consistent skill sets that are required. They are very certain consistent skills. They are consistent across board. So the only way, for me, from experience, you can know that is when you do interviews and try your best. Don't be too worried about getting the job. Be worried about getting interviews, because the interview gives you an opportunity to grow yourself. So how do you get remote jobs? Be very good at what you do, because remote jobs are a different level of demand. So the demand for remote jobs are different from the demand from a job that is in your country. Most of the remote jobs see you as already an expert. There's this assumption that you're already an expert. It's mostly at the senior level. So know what you are doing and be very good at it. That's 1. 2, sell yourself. I've talked about sell yourself 1 million times. I can't overemphasize it. Sell yourself. Post on LinkedIn. Talk about what you do. I saw some GitHub repositories that Eric was reviewing a couple of minutes ago and giving some clues, some tips about how to make it better, and everything he said was actually spot on. Because one of the things that dazed me with that CV, with that GitHub profile, was capital letters being used for folders in GitHub. So that's actually a red flag. As an engineer, it's a red flag. So yeah, just make sure you sell yourself as much as possible. Some people say I have experience. You can see I'm still trying to sell myself. I started a blog in January. I'm still trying to sell myself. Okay. So, and I'm going to continue to sell myself. I'm going to continue to attend conferences. I'm going to talk about them on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk. You have to continue, because you don't know where that opportunity you are looking for will come. You don't know. You have no idea. I think it's cheaper to sell yourself than to chase jobs. I think that's my principle. It's cheaper. It's cheaper to wake up every day and use that mobile data you have to post. Today, I wrote a bash script to send email on Linux. This is the bash script. It's cheaper than you go to websites, you click apply, and all of the apply, you get reject. So it's emotionally draining, and you'll be like, you know what? I'm not applying for any jobs anymore. I'm done with this. So it's actually, I think it's easier to sell yourself than to chase the jobs. It's much easier. And the good thing about selling yourself, it does a lot of things for you. Number 1, it improves your morale a lot. Number 2, you open yourself for opportunities. And then number 3, you start being seen as an expert. Whether you know what you're saying or not, you're seen as an expert. So from there, you're already getting a lot of advantages. You get opportunities to speak. You get opportunities to do things that are way beyond just you're looking for a job. So advertising yourself is using one stone to kill like 10 birds, and it always works. It always works. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Iwere. Guys, sell yourself. Sell yourself. And there's nothing else I can tell you from this I'm also learning. I have learned so much. Thank you so much, Iwere, for that. Now, guys, we are out of time and we need to end this. So I'm gonna ask you guys to do just one last thing. As we take the poll for this session, how this session was, drop your profile so that we can all say network, know somebody from this session. Drop your LinkedIn profiles on the chat as we launch our poll, guys. So I want to thank our speakers so much. I don't know if I would, not even in a million times, I would have been able to give the nuggets that you guys have given. I have learned a ton from it. So thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Iwere, guys. If we could give them the claps on the chat, that would be very nice. Let's give them their flowers for giving us all these nuggets, all these nuggets. We thank you so much, guys. Yeah. I feel like we need another session to talk about these jobs, but the key thing, sell yourself, guys. Sell yourself. I cannot thank you guys enough. And well, I want us to close this session because we are out of time, but I hope you all have learned, you have gained something. Drop the flowers and also just drop one of the things that you have learned during this session. So I want to thank Kevin. I know Kevin today is here. Guys, if you can remember Kevin, he was a speaker in one of our events. I think the very first of such events, he was there and he talked so much. Guys, if you remember Kevin, he's been here and he's actually been attending to some of your questions in the chat. So thank you so much, Kevin, for, doing the Lord's work. We cannot thank you enough, guys. Yes. So we're going to end this session. Of course, we